The United Nations is holding a major conference in Geneva to raise funding for reconstruction in Pakistan after devastating floods last year. At one point, a third of Pakistan was underwater. Experts say that climate change played a role in the disaster, which killed more than 1,700 people and displaced millions. DW met one family that lost everything and depends completely on aid.
Flooding wrought unprecedented havoc in Pakistan last year, and its effects are still keenly felt. One of those who lost everything when the rains came is Abbas, a father of 4 from the southeastern province of Sindh. The land on which he used to grow crops was submerged, and the floods washed away his house and his livestock too.
All the houses in our village are completely destroyed. No bed, no kitchen utensils or anything. Nothing is left behind. We have set up these tents so that our children can live. We are helpless. We don't have any resources to reconstruct our home or to rent a place where we can live peacefully. Nothing.
After months of waiting, Abbas and his family finally received help from the Pakistan Red Crescent.
I have come here because I'm unable to manage our living. I don't have rations. I have nothing to eat or drink. For 5 months, we haven't received any assistance at all. No one has given us anything.
The UN called for $816 million in emergency aid last October, but says it has received only a third of that. The Red Crescent says limited resources mean aid organisations can only do so much.
A large number of people are affected, whereas our assistance is limited. I request the international community to step forward and assist Pakistan in its humanitarian crisis and help us.
With the United Nations at its side in Geneva, Pakistan is echoing that call. It is seeking billions of dollars in aid from the international community to help fund its huge rebuilding job in what is expected to become a major test case in determining who pays for disasters caused by climate change.
And let's bring in now Mohammed Irfan Khan, an environmental scientist at the Islamic University Islamabad. Thank you so much for joining us today, Professor. How is the situation in Pakistan today?
Thank you very much. In fact, today now is the road to recovery, but I think a lot need to be done. Still, there are places where still under the water.
What has been done since these floods to improve Pakistan's resilience to the effects of climate change?
I think realistically speaking, so far promises. We have been at the last Sharm el-Sheikh conference and then today at the Geneva conference. The result will be seen, I think, within a couple of days next.
And, you know, we've seen that playing out, as you've mentioned. Pakistan's government, it says that it needs billions, in fact, to recover from last year's floods. But a previous UN appeal has only resulted in a tiny fraction of that. I'd like to ask you, you know, there's, of course, the domestic situation. But when we look internationally, do you feel left alone by the international community?
You see, a post-disaster need assessment has been carried out by the government of Pakistan in collaboration with the European Union, Asian Development Bank, World Bank, and UNDP. And they assess a loss of $30 billion because 9 million people have been affected and practically they have gone below the extreme poverty level. And that loss, in fact, is the 10% of the GDP of the Pakistan. And for that reason, they also assess that they need $16.3 billion in the first years over a period of 3 years for rehabilitation, and then an investment of almost $10.5 billion in the next 10 years to recovery from death. And that has to be, I think, cooperated by the international community because the climate change is no more a local or a regional issue, it's a global issue. And it has to be addressed at the global level.
So then what specifically are you asking for? Because Pakistan, you know, has contributed essentially next to nothing to global greenhouse emissions, but the country is one of the most vulnerable, as we have seen, when it comes to devastating effects of climate change. What do you think should be done to eliminate this injustice?
You see, you are absolutely right, because our contribution is next to nothing. But we have been affecting too much. We have seen the 9 million people has been gone below the poverty line. And for resilience in the next future, we don't have that enough resources. Even we have launched certain projects in the program within the country for mitigation. What mitigation we can do is we are not contributing that much. Well, like afforestation projects, like we have a clean green index of Pakistan, and then clean building codes in the country has been established, and the mass transport system has been established in major urban centers. But now what we need for the resilience, that the development of infrastructure that is, I think, instead of climate compatible development of climate resilient infrastructure in terms of railway lines that has been damaged, and we need strong, what you call the electricity line, the infrastructure to control this one, and more specifically, the water reservoir against the flood protection.
Professor Mohammed.
That all will require foreign assistance.
Thank you so much for joining us to share that. Professor Mohammed Irfan Khan from the Islamic University, Islamabad. We appreciate it.